Hi, I'm Spaceboy.
And I'm Sulana.
And you're listening to Spaceboy Universe
on the Paranormal UK Radio Network.
32 minutes, 21 seconds. 5-second tone followed by a 1-second pause.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Okay, gang, let's go.
From the space city called Houston, Texas, welcome to Spaceboy Universe, featuring Spaceboy and the lovely Sulana. So strap in and prepare for launch sequence.
Good evening, everyone. This is Spaceboy of Spaceboy Universe, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe live. Greetings from the great city we call Houston, Texas. It is November 17th, 2018. Well, I would know what tomorrow is. That's the point. And, of course, if you'll let me finish here, Sulana, we're on show number 3.08, and tonight is Topic Roulette. Let's see here. As always, follow us on Twitter. That's at the SBU Universe. Follow Sulana at Sulana. Follow me, that's Spaceboy at Spaceboy Music. And then, of course, make sure to hashtag your tweets tonight with hashtag SB Universe and hashtag Space Cadets. And just to let you know, I am watching the tweet deck here, so nothing will get by me tonight because I've got it off to my side here so I could see when the Space Cadets are phoning home or have questions or other good stuff, pictures and stuff. I expect a lot from Bob because Bob is the postmaster when it comes to the tweet deck, and we'll look forward to seeing what he posts tonight. In addition to Twitter, you can find us all over social media. Just search for Spaceboy Universe. Hey, Space Cadets, you'll want to check out our YouTube channel. Sorry, I was distracted again. We do more than the archive of shows there. We do video content from Spaceboy Music to 2-Bit Gamers and so much more. So click that subscribe button and click the bell to be notified. I'm looking for the bell, and the bell is no longer... Oh, here it is. Yeah, see, it's important to get the bell out so you can subscribe and be notified when new content is available. Just like it is now. Hold on. I have so much crap over here on this side. I need to clean a lot of this stuff out. Anyway, you know what, Sulana? You know what... have you can't catch a show live? No problemo. Most of the time we're half dead anyway. So take the SBU on the go with you via Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartMedia, and Spotify. And on that magical note, Sulana, how are you tonight?
What is wrong with you?
My mojo is off.
It's because your birthday's tomorrow, and you're like... I guess you're staring down at your own mortality or something. So
I'm approaching my 50, and
but you're not.
No, I'm 40. I turned 48.
I thought you were 49.
I thought I was 49 too, but I guess.
Did you do the math?
No, I didn't.
2018 minus 1968.
2018 minus 1969.
Oh, well, that's slightly better.
Why you thought? See, you already got me closer to my grave.
I've got a calculator. Let's see.
I'm the operator with my pocket calculator.
49.
49?
You are going to be 49.
See, that just depressed me more again.
Well, it's a good thing we have this show to distract you. And we got stuff done today. Actually got up way earlier than usual, and you were just all over it, and because I had to get my car state inspected and oil changed. And let me do a quick mini rant.
Mm-hmm.
And I put this on my Facebook, and I am, you, if no one else, over there, I'm careful about posting potentially inflammatory content or things that might jumpstart an argument out of the blue.
With me or
anyone,
okay.
Because people are poised and ready to be offended about anything. So I actually wrote how I can't stand secular Christmas music. And I think maybe because, I'm 46 and it's accumulated over years, and it's like nails on a chalkboard. It makes me actually feel violent.
It's no longer special.
No, it's having special in 40 years.
Well, I like to listen to my Christmas music while eating Halloween candy.
I only like one song.
Yeah.
One. And that's Last Christmas by Wham. So that's the only one I can tolerate. For some reason.
So you can't stand Mariah Carey?
Oh, God, no. No. So we were sitting in the lobby of the oil change place, and they were playing a local radio station. Well, it's one of those adult contemporary sunny 90 blah, 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 blah.
99.1.
And it's all Christmas music all day.
Well, they do
till
that.
We're dead. So I was like, I can't take it. I was about to climb the walls. I'm like, I'm going to hurt somebody. I don't know why I have this reaction. And I realized I'm just feeling violent in general. But one, it's only November 17th. Why are you playing that stuff now? And
because this coming week it starts the holidays.
It's all such crap, But on the upside, there is Thanksgiving. Now, I have not officially been invited anywhere other than maybe Leanne's. I don't know about you, but I have sent her some money. Her husband is going to Cajun fry us a turkey. It's just a matter of when do I go get it. So I'll bring that back, and you and I will have
I would
turkey.
imagine you go get it the day that it's cooked.
She said, well, next week he's going to start frying for other people. They pay him money to fry turkeys. Like they bring him the turkey, pay him a fee to fry it, and I'm like, that's a sweet setup he's got there,
What's the fee for frying a turkey?
Well, I don't know because
you're not being charged a fee?
Well, I sent them $11.
Friends and family discount?
Because they actually bought us the turkey.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, I sent them money to buy the turkey. So, and they went to HEB to get it, by the way. So, and so I had this, we were sitting in that lobby, and I'm feeling all violent, right? Because of Christmas music, right? And
you were talking
we go eat lunch, and then we go to HEB, not sponsored, but that's just, we pretty much live at that grocery store, HEB. So I go in there, and you drop me off, and I'm like, well, I'm going to be assaulted probably one more time by their PA system's Muzak playing this overly hyped fake joy. And I get in there, and they're playing Panama by Van Halen. I went, I freaking love this store. It was all 80s, no Christmas music. Even though they had already set up their Christmas stuff aisle, all their candy and the little candy gifts and little decorations and stuff. But they were in there just kicking it. I was like, this is a freaking awesome store. But yeah, so that's my little mini rant. Holidays make me stabby.
I'm like Bob here. He says, I like Bean, Andrew Sisters, Dean, and the Ames brothers.
Oh, yeah, it's that. Yeah, the classics from that era, from the 40s and 50s, like my parents did. The weird thing is when we get into cool weather and it gets overcast like this, and it's sort of, I don't know if you want to call it Christmassy, it's just fall, winter, I actually listen to Enya. Or, alternatively, I'll listen to Brian Setzer and his stuff.
He's made a few Christmas albums, yeah.
I don't hear that, and I can tolerate Hall & Oates' Jingle Bell Rock.
I like that version.
Because I love Hall & Oates so much. So that just, there's so many things that they play over and over and over and over. I just like, I'm gonna have to hurt someone. I don't know what that is. So I just need to isolate myself this holiday season. Complete deprivation, so. Shall I go on to things? This is kind of like a preview of what we're about to get into. These are short little headlines that I didn't feel like we needed to go into any depth.
Oh, okay, I'm waiting.
I'm going to tell you the first one I'm personally excited about, but you're going to be like, well, why? You stream music. What do you care about music on your PC anymore? Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, it's just a nostalgia thing maybe, but Winamp is coming back 2019. This article I'm looking at says Winamp is coming back next year, and I can't wait to slap some skins on it. Oh my gosh, 1998, 99, I discovered what an MP3 file was. And I had asked someone about what is an MP3 file on IRC chat. And they explained, well, you need to get this program. There's only one program right now that will play them, and it's Winamp. And it had been around since probably about late 90s. But when Windows went to 64-bit, I don't know if that was Windows 7 when it did it, or yeah,
Windows 7.
Whenever Windows went to 64-bit, that killed Winamp. For some reason, they couldn't make a format compatible. And they've been working, 5 years or more on it? So, it's coming back next year. This person says it nearly made them weep with joy. Yes, it hasn't been updated in 5 years. Like, you go to their site and they're like, it's coming, but they didn't tell you when, so. It's just a media player. It's been around forever. And the most fun you can have with it is downloading skins that other people made to make it look different, the interface, the user interface, and downloading visualizations and plugins to just, fancy it up.
Like the Dancing Bear?
God, I still have that file somewhere. I can't explain the joy I had. I had all these illegal MP3s and Winamp. And you can, AMP, was that the one I'm using now? AIMP has been the one I've been using for Winamp. Now, these are just to play MP3 files on my hard drive. You're just like, well, you've got Windows Media Player. Screw Windows Media Player. That's just so sorry. Anyway, there's just nothing like that can capture the joy of Winamp. It was, and this article just completely understands me. Through high school and college, this person says they downloaded skins and themes for their, Winamp, and I do the same. I would sit there. Now, this is back before I moved here, and I met you, and I had a life and a job. I had loads and loads of free time to do this stuff. So, it was a wonderful time, and it's probably the only reason I'll go back and download it. But I'm so happy it's coming back. It deserves a second life in the 64-bit environment. It's, one of those things that I really miss. So
it was a good player.
Now, in the news, the Denver airport fully embraces every conspiracy theory about them while they're undergoing a renovation. So I don't know what this renovation entails, but it started operation in 1995, the Denver airport, and it kind of had, and since then it's had this reputation, and they're only themselves to blame for being, this conspiracy theory, and they got all this weird supernatural stuff because they have these weird murals in the airport, statues and gargoyles, and I'm like, you're just like, what were they smoking, specifically? So rather than try to swat this stuff down, tamp it down, they've actually embraced it in a constructive way, using these theories to provide information about their undergoing their renovations. Now, this is a video, but I won't play that. But they've had endless rumors and theories, and the biggest one, of course, is being an Illuminati front, right? They say, quote, people say our underground tunnels lead to secret meeting facilities for the world's elite. Our blue horse is thought to be cursed. Some believe we are even connected to the New World Order and Freemasons. Some people even say that we are home to a colony of lizard people. Yeah. Isn't that just delightful? So they've got their own little kind of like memes they're making, for the Denver airport. Mm-hmm. New concessions or new conspiracies. They got one. It's like, hey, what are we doing? And it's like a stock photo of a person in just a button-down shirt and trousers, but it's a lizard's head. And so, are we creating the world's greatest airport? And they've got their big blue horse in this meme, and it's like shooting lasers out of its eyes. Or are we preparing for the end of the world? And then they've got one of their gargoyles going through the scanner. It says, streamline security or more secrets. And then there's a cat with a tinfoil hat. It's, what are we creating? More space for interesting artwork, a better airport experience, or zombie cat liars? There's another gargoyle. What's happening behind this wall? I guess it's a wall of construction behind it. Gargoyle breeding grounds, a top secret Freemason meeting, or an improved airport experience. But you've got to admit, their stuff is crazy weird.
Mm-hmm.
So, and another quickies, YouTube is now streaming free but ad-supported featured films like The Terminator, Legally Blonde, and Rocky. So if you're willing to recreate your experience of watching network cable TV, you can just hop over there, watch these movies for free with interrupted by ads like how things used to be. So it began doing this like in October.
With commercials? With
commercials. Free to watch category where users traditionally purchase a rented movie, because you can rent and purchase movies inside of YouTube. You've got to go find them. So these films are free, but they come with commercial interruptions with pop-up ads that appear at regular intervals. Like if you don't have your ad block on and all that junk. Mm-hmm. So YouTube's director of product management said that the company saw an opportunity for consumers and advertisers, and notes that there may be a way for advertisers to sponsor films or hold exclusive screenings. So they're just finding a way to make more revenue, basically. So I thought that was interesting. There's a company bringing back the retro cassette player deck. And this is where, you've got your cassette on one side and a speaker on one side and like the little radio dial up here. So, Crossley is best known for making those junky $100 turntables you can find at Target or Best Buy, but they're expanding into the tape deck. It's a single mono speaker with an AM/FM radio, an integrated mic, and a single direction deck. So, it's not the best quality, but that's not the point. I guess maybe this is nostalgia. It's going for $60. You can also get shortwave radio, and it adds some rather anachronistic support by playing music off SD cards and USB drives, which is odd. So if you just want to hear your songs in really super crappy quality, you can get a new, old-feeling, old-looking cassette deck.
Or you could just go to eBay and just get you one that was used,
a real one from that time.
Yeah.
So, it's stuff you already knew, news. Cryptocurrencies, which is Bitcoin, are still not ready to be real currency. I'm sure that's no shock to no one, but they're saying it's not still widely accepted. It's not probably widely accepted by most governments, although Japan is pretty much gung-ho for it. So, no pun intended there. It's still trying to get adoption, in the industry, but in some of our large financial institutions, but it's got to go through something called institutionalization. And that's at scale participation a cryptocurrency market of banks, broker-deals, exchanges, payment providers, finance tech companies, and other entities in the global financial services ecosystem. So it's got to get adopted by all of those entities. So the next step to get adopted, it says you've got to create trust and scale, which I understand Bitcoin's not a currency yet. So they have to meet the traditional definition of currency. It's got to be used as a unit of account, a store of value, and a unit of exchange.
I wish they'd hurry up and either pee or get off the pot, because, I have my little small investment, and currently Bitcoin in general has taken a kind of a nosedive recently.
You've been watching it. Well, I think the takeaway right now from Bitcoin is how it is processed, which is called blockchain. The model of blockchaining has branched out of cryptocurrency, and the idea of how to do transactions and track things in a database like this has now leaked out into other areas of life. But so that's not going anywhere. Cryptocurrencies are still too unstable. Like if you want to borrow money, you can't really, this is not really a stable thing to borrow against. So try to get a loan in cryptocurrency. You wouldn't do that. It's a little crazy right now to think of something like that. It's too volatile, like the stock market. It's too volatile. In order to be in a medium of exchange, the cryptocurrency has to store value. It doesn't right now, they are saying. But what's funny is enough people get together and agree on it that it holds some value, that you can use it to get goods and services in some places. That still blows my mind.
Right.
But the thing is, it's vulnerable to cyber attacks, like, your online banking and whatnot. I didn't think that was going to be a thing because, it had been so secure, but they're finding ways, like if you build it, they will kill it. So that's my philosophy. Not that they will come. Not only will they come, but they'll find a way to destroy it. That's my little addendum to that saying. So I just don't see big business and finance adopting this, because I think unless they can find a way to exploit it for their purposes,
it's what it comes down to always.
Yeah, they're going to try to kill it unless they can own it and regulate it and tax it and be the ones in control of it. That I think is the basic issue, is they can't get their grubby hands on it, so they're just going to say, no, this ain't going to work. So is that if Bitcoin's identity as a real currency relies on it being adopted, the very financial system it was built to rebuke, I think we found the fool's errand here. So, yeah, I would love for this to be a thing that topples the empire,
my money in Bitcoin would love for it to be a thing too. So I mean, at this point, I just you got some Bitcoin just to sit back and watch and see what happens, or rather cryptocurrency, rather. Yes, and I'm not thrilled, but I've always said that I'm in for the long haul to see, what's going to come down, and of course, most recently, Bitcoin in particular has taken a kind of a nosedive, and so a lot of people are saying by December there's supposed to be something, it'll go through the roof. Something. What is it about December that? Because this happened last December. Is it just because it's holiday season, or because people get their Christmas money from grandma, and they take their grandma Christmas money, and I don't have any grandmas, and they put it into Bitcoin or whatever, their flavor of the month is. So, Sulana, we're at the bottom of the hour.
Hey, I managed to fill it up, didn't I?
Yeah, you sure did. You've been very talkative, like you were at the oil place, changing place. Hey, he's coming in. No, he's on the outside.
I just wanted to get that over with so badly because I was going to lose it, and there were children in the room, and I was trying to contain myself. So,
well, I had a cane. I could have knocked them away.
True.
Yeah, so it's all good. But anyway, so here's our favorite break coming up. It's called Break 1. And we'll be right back after this.
This is Patrick Scott Sport, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sulana.
This is author Gordon Root. You are listening to the Spaceboy Universe.
This is K28, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, y'all. This is Lori calling from Texas, and I love listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, this is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
This is Wendy. I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, y'all. This is Lorelai DeLille. I listen to Spaceboy Universe. Don't you? Tell your mom and them I said hi.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Sulana.
All right. This mega shout out goes to someone close to me, and that would be my sister, who is in the chat room. And I just want to say howdy to you and your wonderful husband, George. And I hope you all are doing wonderful this evening.
Yeah, she's probably here because tomorrow's your birthday.
Yeah.
Which means during the next break, we got to make a cupcake run to the fridge.
I've already had 3.
Oh, come on. Leave me at least one.
What? There's more than one left in there.
Which is it?
It's you can have your choice of all sorts.
Okay, just checking.
I had 2 burnt orange and...
No, I'm talking about not the stuff on top, the actual color of the cake.
Well, I had my first yellow cake.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I'm not talking about from the men's room.
Sorry.
You all right over there?
I just get frustrated when I'm trying to open a URL and it goes to the default browser and the browser doesn't open until it's done an update, and it just did an update. Now it's doing another update.
What browser? Well, it does that every time you open it up now. It does an update.
And you can't stop it.
True.
Just, So anyway, this is Topic Roulette, or as we like to call it, Spaceboy and I could not agree on tonight's topic. So.
Well, I didn't want to go with a topic that we had talked about. Mm-hmm. It was another history topic, but...
We gotta, put those further apart so we don't become a history topic show.
Dun, 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 dun. Better stop with the singing of the music before we get gigged.
Yeah, you don't want to start something there. And we can talk about... Well, we're going to be talking about that soon.
Topic Roulette is basically, we cover the 6 topics we normally cover.
But we'll go in a little in depth.
Each topic is about 15 minutes long, so...
They don't need to know that.
Well, I like to let I hide nothing from the Space Cadets.
They don't need to know.
No
one needs to know that.
I let them all know. They're like family.
Because if we don't go 15 minutes, then they'll be like, well, you didn't...
Okay, not everyone's like K28.
Be careful now. We don't want to offend anybody.
Now, K20, I love you like a brother, but I really want to hit that mouse that you've compared me to on my birthday tomorrow. You know how much I love Disney right now when it comes to Star Wars.
Yeah. You're not a big fan of Disney.
Well, yeah, I'm not. Well, Marvel is a different story, but Star Wars, man, don't get me started.
Please. I mean, if you want to dedicate a whole 3-hour show to that, that's fine. That means I can take a break for one night and go read a book.
And what I meant about K28 is that he wants to make sure that we are living up to our expectations of giving a quality show, and we try to deliver to him. We can't ship him out Buc-ee's 24/7, but we can give him the SBU. Right, Sulana?
Yeah, I'm just trying to respond to somebody in the chat.
Okay.
You said urinal cake, and one of the cadets didn't know opening a urinal what, and it reminded me back when I first watched the movie Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, and I asked my dad, because he's the only man I knew, I said, Dad, what does "don't eat the big white mint" mean? He said that the Roadhouse was so tough, there's a sign in the men's room that says, "Don't eat the big white mint." He says, oh, that's a urinal cake to try to soak up the odor. So I'm like, okay. Next time I'll tell you about the time I saw my first 5-legged horse. So anyway, we'll just dive right into this.
What's our next topic?
Well, I'm going in alphabetical order, as indicated by our giant poster that's on the wall.
Did we not do history already? Okay, why are you looking at me like that? Like,
this is Topic Roulette. The topics we cover are these 6 topics.
Right.
All 6 topics got to get covered. It's 3 hours, dude.
Okay, let's start pumping it out.
Holy crap.
Stop being angry. It's my birthday tomorrow.
Well, that doesn't make you exempt from being annoying.
No, but you could be more nicer to me.
I could, but I don't think it's going to happen.
All right, so go ahead, Ringmaster.
We talk about history a lot.
Yes, we do.
And I didn't want to talk about a specific event or thing because I like to give things their proper attention, you know. So I'm going to do quickies here. And when I started doing some preliminary research for just history, I thought, what is interesting about history? Well, that whole thing like, well, if you don't learn from your mistakes, you're going to repeat history.
Repeat it, yes.
But we do that. So I was thinking history mistakes. Let's look at some top 5, top 10 lists of some of the worst things that have happened in history that were mistakes that, oh, aren't you sorry you did that? Or this changed the shape of the world, or, you know, it had some kind of giant impact. And these are different lists from different sites. So the first one I'm looking at is kind of interesting. It's like someone made a mistake in that they missed a giant opportunity. That's what this list is. So number 1, turning down J.K. Rowling, and her name is pronounced Rowling like bowling. If you don't believe me, go look it up. I don't really care.
You know, our audience across the pond will hold us to that.
Yeah. I don't really have a stake in it, but if you've got a name, you deserve to have it pronounced correctly. So, 12 publishing houses rejected Rowling's Harry Potter manuscript before Bloomsbury finally took her on with the advice of the company's chairman. Not the chairman, but actually the company's 8-year-old daughter, because I think she liked it. So they bought her book, and it gets translated in over 60 languages, and she's earned $1 billion. So those 12 publishing houses probably have egg on their face, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to ask what you're doing.
I had to disconnect the computer before it started broadcasting out to the universe.
Okay, I'm going to take a sip of this hot tea. All right.
Well, you know, in this day in history, the Elizabethan age begins.
Thank you for that apropos of nothing.
Whatever. Hey, I've contributed to...
All right. You could save it till after we're off this particular history topic, and you could throw that in if there's time.
Well, I think that's all I have to say about that.
All right. Don't do that again.
Until
I'm finished with these lists, and then you can babble whatever you'd like.
Then stop beep, 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 and get to the rest of the list so we can get going. Look, go ahead. What's the next?
Throwing away that Bitcoin portfolio, believe it or not. James Howells bought 7,500 Bitcoins in 2009. They must have been dirt cheap, or he had a lot of money. They were next to nothing.
Yes.
They were next to nothing in 2009. Nobody knew. So by 2013, one Bitcoin was worth 613 British pounds, because I'm looking at a British website. He was a Welshman. He would have had 4.5 million pounds, except he left his hard drive tucked away in a drawer for years, then threw it away without a minute's thought. So I guess that's where his Bitcoin info was? Maybe his wallet?
That reminds me of an episode of Big Bang Theory. They did kind of the same.
He made a trip to his local landfill to try to retrieve it, but 5 feet of rubbish across a landfill, no. He didn't get it. And who just throws a hard drive away in rubbish? You get that stuff, you back it up, and then you wipe it by magnetizing. I mean, just idiots.
And there's a proper way to dispose of it, too.
Mm-hmm. You don't just throw it in a landfill. You give it to the proper...
Mm-hmm.
Another big mistake, missed opportunity, if you want to look at it this way, is not shooting Hitler. So in 1914, there was this British soldier called Henry Tandy, who went on to become the most decorated private in the First World War, and he came across and injured an unarmed Lance Corporal Adolf Hitler in a ditch. But he decided not to shoot him in cold blood. So there was a way to avert a crisis there, but, didn't do it. Here's another one that was just a teeny little oopsie. Selling 410,000 shares instead of 1 share. So in 2005, a Japanese trader cost his company that he worked for 190 million pounds after a so-called fat finger trade. You know, when you got fat fingers, is you're typing away and you just miss key with your fingers. He sold 610,000 shares for 1 yen instead of selling 1 share at 610,000 yen. So sort of transposed, which was he supposed to do. So despite repeated requests from the securities to cancel the trade, the Tokyo Stock Exchange refused to comply. The company was forced to buy back their own shares at an inflated cost. Bet you he didn't keep his job.
Nope.
Somebody made a big mistake of angering Genghis Khan. You know, that leader of that Mongol Empire. He was going to try to open diplomatic and trade links with Alaa ad-Din Muhammad, the Shah of a neighboring, Khwarezmid Empire, which is Iraq, Iran today. This is in 13th century. So he was going to try to open up these relations, and he got rejected because a Mongol diplomat beheaded. However, after the offer was rejected and the Mongol diplomat was beheaded that went to broker it, Khan reacted furiously, sending in an estimated 200,000 warriors and utterly destroy the empire. So a guy goes in saying, my emperor wants to open trade relations and diplomatic relations, and they kill that guy. That upsets Khan, and he rains heck down upon that empire, which is now modern day Iraq, Iran. Wow. So another mistake somebody made, that was probably pretty big, was turning down a man named Brian Acton and another person named Jan Kuom for a job. So Facebook turned them down, these two programmers, Brian and Jan, at job interviews in 2009. And Brian's tweet back on August 3rd, 2009 said, Facebook turned me down, but it was a great opportunity to connect with some fantastic people. Looking forward to life's next adventure. Oh, babe, you're so full of crap. So a few years later, Facebook paid $19 billion for WhatsApp, the company the pair developed after being rejected from Facebook. I'm like, go you know?
Sometimes it's necessary for these things to happen in order for...
So not every failures... I mean, not every missed opportunity is a failure. It actually could lead to something.
No, I mean, you could look at it as a disappointment or a rejection of something.
They got more out of Facebook than it ever would if they had been their employees, right?
Yes.
Here's one I think you know. I think you actually might have told me about this one, this mistake. Because I remember you mentioning or talking about it, is ordering trains that were too wide. So the French state railway spent $15 billion on a new fleet of trains. Unfortunately, the trains were too wide for the track.
They were also too wide to get into the station.
To get in the station, yeah. It cost them an estimated 50 million euros.
That was a fascinating documentary.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like measure twice, cut once type of thing. Because it's like ordering a big new car without checking the width of your garage.
Pretty much.
But you're like, how does that happen in this day and age, you know? I mean, well, another, I guess, colossal mistake, you could say, is signing Brian Poole and the Tremolos. I've never heard of this, and I'm looking at a black and white photo of this group, and it's not ringing any bells. So, in 1962, record label Decca was looking to sign an up-and-coming band, and they auditioned 2 young bands to get on their label in London. And they decided to sign Brian Poole and the Tremolos. What's the one they rejected, babe? What's the band they rejected? It's 1962.
It's Beatles?
Decca. It's the Beatles.
Yeah.
Some little rinky-dink 4-piece outfit from Liverpool. All right, and the last really big, embarrassing mistake is misspelling a company name. The British government was sued for £9 million after a clerical error inserted a rogue letter S, and saw the wrong company recorded as being in liquidation. More than 250 people lost their jobs because of this when the company's house mistook the 124-year-old Welsh family business called Taylor and Sons for Taylor and Son. Just that little thing can end your business. It's a company that had to file for bankruptcy in 2009 because of a typo.
That is messed up.
Can you believe it?
Who would have thunk it?
So I'm just going to pause for a little sip. Do you mind?
Sure, no. And this day in history in 1869, the Suez Canal is formally opened. Want another day in history?
No. Why don't you hold those to the end?
You're talking history, babe. So why wouldn't I not interject a little bit of history? Why are you getting so angry at me?
I don't know. I'm having a day of anger.
Did you not say, do you mind if I take a little sip? And I said, sure. I said, this will be a perfect opportunity to fill in some air.
I need to go punch a side of beef or something. I am really on edge and really violent feeling. So, okay. What about some famous mistakes that were made in history that have, kind of a big significance on a national or global scale? Well, calling the Titanic unsinkable was probably not the best idea. Talk about something where they have egg on their face. And that Titanic comes up in these lists over and over. They get more specific about what went wrong. It's kind of like a series of mistakes. So here's a big one, and it's historical. I think this has happened twice, and I don't know if France would call selling their part of America a mistake because they needed the money for something else.
A Louisiana Purchase?
But selling Alaska to the U.S. Russia sells Alaska. So in 1860, Alaska was actually Russia's.
Yes.
When they had the Crimean War and that broke out, Russia found it was unable to defend this region because of Britain, France, and Turkey. They had combined powers. And back then, the land was not that important. They didn't realize there's oil in them there hills. So so oil wasn't a thing yet.
Oil and other natural
and
resources.
And gold mining. They didn't know that there was a huge prospect for gold mining. Now, that there was a possibility Britain would take hold of Alaska and block Russia altogether. And that seemed like that would be a real thing. So Russia's like, maybe, we won't bother. So they decided to sell it to us because they hoped selling it to America would just upset Britain. Because, why not? That's one less thing Britain has. They like having things. So they sold Alaska to us at a mere 2 cents an acre. And after it turned out to be one of the greatest mistakes in Soviet history, and in 50 years, the USA was able to earn from Alaska more than 100 times what they got from the purchase. So 2 cents an acre, how many acres Alaska was? Like, we've profited off Alaska 100 times over from its resources.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big mistake for them. Now, something more modern.
Speaking of which, this day in history in 1970, the Soviet...
I swear to God. I don't want to do this anymore.
Luna 17 touches down on the moon. Come on, that's funny. Come on, continue.
I can just get up and come over there and slap you. I can do it.
I'm sure you would.
NASA loses the Mars Climate Orbiter. I don't know what this really harms in terms of, other than them losing some money. So NASA lost the Mars Climate Orbiter, which was worth $125 million. It was the biggest one of its kind. It was a developmental blunder. So it says 1999 engineers from Lockheed Martin used the imperial system of measurement in designing one part of the orbital module instead of the standard metric. I didn't know there was another way to measure things other than metric in English. I'll have to go look up what the imperial system is. So you've got two different measurements on this one craft. Like one piece has this measurement, the rest of it has the metric. So that messed up the navigation system. They couldn't receive the correct coordinates. It plunged it into an orbital insertion and was lost forever. Does that mean it went down on the planet?
Yes.
Orbital insertion. Mm-hmm. That's hysterical. The Leaning Tower of Pisa was sort of a mistake. And the reason it was leaning is because they didn't bother to check the ground underneath it. So the foundation was laid down in 1173, but due to wars and other politics that went on, the construction took place over 199 years. And the lean wasn't, supposed to be there. It began leaning early in the construction because it was erected on soft soil and it gave way under its weight. So all they've done is try to stabilize it to prevent a collapse. They never went back and tried to correct the angle because that's now the attraction is the lean.
Yeah, the iconic.
All they were trying to do is keep it where it is.
Right.
So you could say that was sort of a mistake, but it ended up being probably profitable for Italy, because it's a tourist thing.
It is. I've seen a documentary of how they've got these things pushed into the ground to
just keep it where it's at.
Keep it where it's at.
That must be a challenge architecturally. I'm like, well, it's not supposed to do that, but we got to keep it like that because that's the whole draw. I don't know that if you can actually get up in it or not. I imagine maybe, or maybe it was just
I don't know if
a tower
I
to
think
look
it's
at.
Very limited as far as who can go in it.
Yeah, I would imagine so. This one I don't know how to pronounce. Atahualpa agreed to meet Francisco Pizarro. And, Pizarro was one of the early explorers.
Pizarro,
yeah.
Yes.
So this guy was ascended to the throne of the Inca Empire after he executed his older brother in a civil war after their father's death. So, it's pretty bloody history they got there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here comes 1532, and you've got Conquistador Francisco Pizarro of Spain landed in the South American coast, and he established a settlement in Peru. So he goes out to meet, the guy who killed his brother, the leader of the Incan Empire. And Pizarro only went with a handful of men, by the way. Whereas the Incan guy had his army of 80,000. So he didn't see Pizarro as a threat, which turned out to be a fatal flaw. Pizarro set up traps and was able to capture the Incan leader, and then he ransomed his life for gold and used him to bring down the entire Incan Empire. And then later he executed the Incan emperor. So let that be a lesson to you. Don't open the door for strangers. The Dutch discover Australia first, but then they ignore it. 100 years before British explorer Captain James Cook landed on the eastern coast of Australia, the Dutch had already discovered the continent, but ignored it, thinking it was nothing more than a useless desert land. So they think back in 1606, the Dutch vessel, Duyfken, captained by Wilhelm Gentz, explored it nearly 200 miles of the western side of Cape York. When they first landed there, they faced attacks from the native aboriginals, which kind of dissuaded them from going any further inland. They're like, well, let me just leave this alone. It's just too much going on here. Another one that was really devastating mistake was the Chernobyl disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know what happened there in 1986. It's still really radioactive. I mean, that place looks like it was a situation where everybody had to pick up and just go. So everything was left in the state it was in when people fled. So it's just really strange to see.
They're currently
images.
building a cover for it.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm skipping through some of these because due to time. The Hindenburg disaster. The Trojan horse destroys Troy. The British petroleum oil spill. that Deepwater Horizon rig exploding, and this is in April 2010, and messing up the Gulf of Mexico for a little bit. Let's see, uncontrolled fire in the Sierra Grande, which we're having more fires now. That's very relevant. The B-2 stealth bomber crash. It was the most advanced American jet of its time, so the crash was very expensive for our military. The nuclear disaster at 3 Mile Island. The Exxon Valdez crash into Prince William Sound. Again, Decca rejects the Beatles. That's just to name a few. I skimmed through some of those, and I've got more, but if you feel like that's enough history stuff for you, we can...
Well, if you got a few more, that's fine.
Alexander Fleming forgets to clean up his lab. You know what what happened there? You don't do your dishes. It's gross. So, you get little fuzzies all over it and things bloom.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets the credit for discovering penicillin in 1928, and it came down to forgetting to do the dishes. So he left some food out or some dishes, and he came back and he noticed his petri dishes were full of staphylococci, or there's the mold, and that destroyed the sample and everything around it, and the mold grew in a pure culture, and it found out he could annihilate all kinds of bacteria. That's the whole experiment that gave us penicillin, but accidentally. Let's see. Japan picks the wrong target at Pearl Harbor. They came to bomb us, to kick off World War II. So it was a set of specific mistakes, and Pearl Harbor had more to do with Japan what Japan didn't bomb rather than what they did bomb. They knocked out the big ships, but they didn't concentrate on the fuel reserves, repair yards, or the aircraft carriers. So we still had plenty of stuff there to rally with, and that was their mistake.
May I mention something about Canadian history?
If you must.
On this day in Canadian history, in 1938, Gordon Lightfoot, Canadian singer and songwriter, musician.
Because, good Lord, that was worth it. Let's go to break before I can slap you.
I always like to say something good about the Canadians.
Even though we don't know any.
What? We still know a few people north of the border.
Okay.
So,
fortunately, we can just go to break then.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take us to break before Sulana slashes my throat. Let's see here. And so don't touch that dial.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sulana.
Hey, Sulana!
What?
If Spaceboy Universe was cheese, would you eat it? Come on now, it's a simple question.
Maybe?
SpaceboyUniverse.com.
to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Sulana.
All right, Space Cadets. I've been assured by Sulana that we'll have a going back and forth during this particular subject matter.
And I don't mean a fist fight.
Yeah. So, yeah, nothing like this day in history to get your wife all riled up. Hey, do you know what happened in this day in history? Yeah, it's this day that I stabbed you in the back and made you bleed from your forehead again. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you see K28's suggestion?
Yeah, I saw.
Did you see?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have gone into the next topic, which is fringe science. Yay! Going in alphabetical order. I got a number of things for us to discuss, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 things. So, first one is, I think on and off throughout this year, you and I have touched on the concept of disclosure.
Yes. And surprisingly, I'm more skeptic.
Yes, you and I are skeptic. That's skeptical of disclosure coming from an official entity like our government or some other government. Like, you and I are like, okay, what are you trying to pull? And
then plus, I have a big issue with some of the people out there in the community it's more about the dollar than it is about the actual study.
Some people, I think, are trying to capitalize on fame and attention. I don't know. I'm not saying this is everybody. I'm talking about people who have a more celebrity status, not everyday people like you and me. But the first thing I want to kind of talk about is, let's say they do disclose, however you think about that. Let's say they disclose and maybe there is proof or something. What are the 5 possible downsides to UFO disclosure? Well, I'm looking at a list here.
Yeah.
Well, the first and obvious one is cultural shock and disruption of the social order. I don't know what keeps us from this on a daily basis anyway, UFO or not. It just seems like if somebody got a wild hair, we could do this over anything. I mean, Black Friday's coming. I can't believe, this would be like a global scale, I'm sure. So the shock of, there'll be 2 kinds of shock. That they exist and that we've been lied to.
Yes, I think
Which one hurts more?
That we've been lied to.
For over 60 years, at least in this country. I don't know if that's the same for...
I'm glad you bring that up because, what concerns me is that if you go back in history and you look at the deal that Dwight Eisenhower made, supposedly, with the Greys...
Yeah,
and
have to look into that.
That would piss me off royally. That a sitting president of the United States made a deal with the aliens. Yeah, you could take some of our citizens. They're in the 50s.
50s. Okay, so we just got out of a war, so he's probably just like, I got bigger things to deal with.
And just make sure you give us all the paperwork of all the people you've taken and blah 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 and. Of course,
yeah, sure.
Of course, they didn't live up to their end of the bargain, and according to
how do you get a superior technology to live up to their end of the bargain?
Well, it's a mess. Let me tell you.
Well, so if the Roswell crash was real and that triggered the events for the cover-up, that's what 60-ish years.
It's been a while.
It would be one, they exist, and that would cause a certain level of anxiety because we don't know what they could do.
Right.
And then it'd be like, we can't trust our government.
So 2 things we can't trust.
We can't trust our government. They're not telling us the truth, or they'll cover things up. So there could be a collapse of the government just because people are like, which wouldn't be a bad thing, I don't see. But it would just be like, well, if they lie about this, what else have they been doing? Well, everything you can imagine, fool. But it would be a 2-prong failure. That's not even getting into who are the aliens, what are they capable of.
Are you suggesting that the government would fall apart?
Government may not fall apart, but we might force it to either employ stringent tactics on us, like martial law, because we'd probably be storming Washington with pitchforks, knives, and torches, you know. Which I don't know what stops people from doing that anyway. I guess the military, but because they could show up. Now, another thing that could cause the disruption of disclosure is ETs may be too different. Well, what do we mean by that? Too advanced or too different for us to understand, communicate, or relate to. They could be an amorphous blob. They could be an energy field. It could be a fart in the wind. You don't know. We may be too different for them as well, too unevolved for them, assuming they're...
You mean as us being carbon-based life forms versus...
maybe they don't use speech. Maybe they use a series of interpretive dance or, you know, something that we can't relate to.
Darmok and Jalad at...
Darmok and Jalad,
yeah.
Some scientists say we shouldn't be disclosing anything or even advertising our presence. It's like, just keep hiding. I think that's a good idea.
Well, you know, that's what was said about broadcasting signals out into space. And, you know, it's like, hey, we're here. Come meet us, you know.
Well, Stephen Hawking said, if aliens visit us, the outcome could be much as when Columbus landed in America, which did not turn out well for the Native Americans. So in that scenario, we're the natives, you know. Carl Jung, philosopher, he in 1954 wrote, in the event of disclosure, humanity as a whole might end up in the precarious position of primitive communities today in conflict with a superior culture. The rudder would be removed from our grasp. He's saying the same thing. Hawking says, you've got a culture that's as advanced as they can be, but up against something else that's more advanced, you could just be easily annihilated. Same thing. Of course, Eric von Daniken says we don't like extraterrestrials. We don't want extraterrestrials. We are afraid of them. It's a psychological problem, and we're not ready to accept that we, you know, as humans, are not the greatest. And somebody put a meme of some alien cartoon character, and it says, they see me rolling, they hating. Aliens may not be alien at all, and this could be another way to devastate us. I've got itchy eyebrows in case you wonder what I'm doing. Now,
really.
One theory says so-called aliens are actually evolved from us and are humans from the future, and they came back to whatever time we're in to prevent the genetic extinction of species. So if that's true, disclosure would be undesirable for us because we know we're not going to make it. Since these quote-unquote aliens are not trying to make open contact with our civilization, and for good reason, our understanding of time is primitive. We think we experience it as a linear sequence of events that perpetually goes on and on. But if there's actually like a fourth dimension, and it's more like a tapestry of cause and effect, or a Pandora's box containing all possible scenarios, or rather, you know, a multiverse. And let's say, you know, if it's a multiverse, maybe somebody finds a way to hack the multiverse, you know. Nobody knows what time is. No human, for sure.
Well, the last time I checked, it was 10:11.
But, you know, Einstein was obsessed with time. Hawking said it's entirely possible to go forward in time if you're traveling in a vessel that approaches the speed of light, or if you're near an object of enormous mass. Technically, that's not time travel. That's just, you know, like the idea of Earth, of time zones. Hawking said travel back in time is impossible because of the time travel paradox. But who's to say that scientists living hundreds or thousands of years from now won't master time travel if it's all happening simultaneously at once?
See, I prescribe to the all-at-once theory.
Now, they say there's some subsidiary evidence to support this theory, namely, guess what? The Rendlesham Forest incident. Okay, so Sergeant Peniston telepathically received a binary code from contact with an unidentified craft. That's his testimony of the incident. Now, they decoded that data years later, and it was found to contain the words exploration of humanity for planetary advance. And the date, 8100. So there's another piece of this puzzle from George W. Hoover, who's a scientist, had top clearance. He was in charge of investigating the Roswell debris and the bodies. Before his death, he said he believed these aliens were not extraterrestrial, but extratemporal. Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. As in from another time. He believed they were not alien, but human, clearly from the future, having extraordinary abilities to use their consciousness to manipulate time and matter, and that our government fears their abilities. And another downside of disclosure is having access to advanced technology. So any evolved civilization that humans have with advanced technology equals monkey with a grenade, they say. We're too neurotic and violent, and I agree with that because I'm having some violent moments today. Don't give me any advanced technology right now. I should not be trusted. We have a tendency to turn any new scientific discovery into a weapon. If you've ever read a sci-fi book or watched a sci-fi movie or TV show, that's the moral right there. So some UFO researchers contend that wreckage at Roswell has already been appropriated by our military, studied and reverse engineered, like, Bob Lazar, into stealth series of military craft. So we have advanced weapons and maybe even craft in the last 50 years that has been hidden and kept away. And they mentioned Philip Corso's book, The Day After Roswell. I highly recommend reading that book, even if you do not believe in aliens, don't believe in Roswell.
It is a fascinating read.
Read it as a work of fiction because it's entertaining on that level. So if we get access to alien technology, I think it's only going to hurt us because we're stupid and we have crappy motivations. Now, there is the possibility of disinformation. As General Douglas MacArthur said, I'm concerned for the security of our great nation, not so much because of any threat from without, but because of the insidious forces working from within. And
once again, Eisenhower warned us about the industrial military complex. And,
here's another one for you you'll like.
Okay.
A lie, Mr. Mulder, is most convincingly hidden between two truths. That's from the X-Files series. So, if the government initiates disclosure, they're saying it's partial disclosure. And this is where you and I have our skepticism comes in. Is it really disclosure? Is this part of some hidden agenda to get us to toe the line the way they want us to do it? Some people suggest that UFO file disclosures will be just a preparation step for another war under false pretenses, this time of interplanetary proportions. Or maybe they're trying to kind of warn us like something big's coming, so don't be shocked when you see these green guys, Or it could be a staged attack on our part in order to subdue us finally, getting us where our government wants us, and has nothing to do with non-human beings. If we think we're under attack by some alien force with superior technology, superior brain power, we'll do anything to get protected, even let them herd us into camps to protect us. That's that idea. Because we're basically just sheep that want to follow and be, safe. Saying psychologically people are kind of already prepared for an alien invasion. Just look at all the movies and TVs we've been bombarded with in the last 20 some odd more years that deal with this, like Independence Day, The Arrival, Signs, War of the Worlds, Transformers, The Invasion, Cloverfield, the TV series V, Skylines, Cowboys and Aliens, Battle, Los Angeles, Darkest Hour, Falling Skies, Battleship, The Avengers, Prometheus, Dark Skies, Man of Steel, Oblivion, Pacific Rim, Edge of Tomorrow, Outpost 37, The Fifth Wave, Independence Day Resurgence, just to name a few that seem like they're trying to tell us something, you know, as in the form of entertainment. So space-based weapons are not as far-fetched as you think. We've already got those in space. The next enemy with a capital E will be extraterrestrial war. Werner von Braun, the father of technology and one of the German scientists that came over to Operation Paperclip after World War II, he ought to know probably. He correctly predicted every major U.S. war in the last 70 years, the Cold War and the Star Wars program, war on rogue nations, war on terror, and now the weaponization of space. One of those things I saw, and I don't know if this is real, but the one that really freaked me out is the rods of God we talked about, the tungsten rods.
Right.
They don't have any explosive. They don't have a nuclear warhead. There's nothing on it. It's just a big, giant rod of tungsten metal, and that's it. And they can be launched from space, and all I have to do is make an impact crater, and that makes all the devastation, and there's no biological hazard.
Right.
So somebody could come in behind it and pick up the pieces. So von Braun's associate, Dr. Carol Rosen, said the final step in global control over population is an alien threat from outer space, or maybe to make it look like there's one. I just don't believe a word our government or any government says about this type of thing, because I'm just highly suspicious of it. So, now, I went on this other site, and I was just poking around, and this is a video. It says, sorry, I'm trying not to laugh. Truckers spotted weird-shaped anomaly in the sky over Quebec, Canada. Driving in Long Point de Mignon, it's French. I'm sorry, don't speak French. I'm sorry. Quebec, Canada. It looks very like. He's driving on a highway. It's dense wilderness on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
The video is very shaky in parts because he's using a cell phone, most likely. And
portrait mode or
portrait mode. And that actually, when people are shaky and putting it in portrait mode, I feel like the video is more genuine because they're not thinking straight, right? Because they're more freaked out. He was driving his rig, and he tried to capture this phenomenon on his smartphone. He said, I'm a trucker. I came back from Haven, St. Pierre. At the exit of the tip of the Mignon, my attention was attracted by an object in the sky, and the more I approached it, the more I saw this kind of egg of white color. Well, I'm looking at it, and it looks like a cross between the Enterprise and a toilet bowl. It's very strange. Now, this could be some kind of odd hovering balloon or, you know, some kind of oddly shaped drone, but it just made me laugh. I said, it's a flying toilet bowl.
Another reason not to look up and have your mouth open at the same time.
But I'm going to pop this over to chat if people want to check this out later. Make your own conclusions. You tell me if that doesn't look like a toilet bowl. Now, another thing we've all heard about. Hold on, I just lost it. Is this is a video, so I can't play it, but 297 birds fall from the sky during a 5G experiment. So I don't know if they're testing the 5G wireless speed and the birds can handle it. So it makes me wonder, what's it going to do to us? Now, I found two separate articles on the same topic here. Sky turns purple in the U.S. and nobody knows why. And then the other article is sky turns purple in the U.K. Get that up here. Southport, UK.
Is this like during the day or?
Well, that's the thing.
Not twilight, right?
I was thinking maybe it's just because, you know, skies can be pretty colors, you know.
Because, you know, here in Texas, we get these beautiful cotton candy sunsets.
Well, there's a video and a photo from what? Out of the ordinary purple glow reported in multiple occasions illuminating the sky over various places here in the U.S. The occurrence and the reason yet to be determined, but the videos have surfaced revealing a purple sky, and it looks like it's twilight. Maybe the sun is set, but there's just a purple glow in a specific area. Purple sky in the U.S. One video says the purple sky was found over a large tree and a house in a residential area. So it sounds like this is very localized. It's hovering above the house. The sky around it is your typical dark shaded in the evening. One of these was recorded on October 13th of this year. Another video on the same day in Cleveland shows another purple sky. They're driving down the street and they're filming this. They approach the purple. It's in a very small area of the sky. So it's not like a sunset lighting it up. It's more like a very coherent, contained light. So it's not like filtered through clouds and going all across the sky like a, sunset. It's a small area, and everything around it is normal looking. And people are posting these videos, and they're describing the sky as purple is above the clouds as opposed to being below the clouds. Mm-hmm. It's motionless. And there's several videos here. It's saying there's a location in Ohio, from Cleveland, the river Cuyahoga, and Dayton, and not limited to Ohio, but also in Wisconsin and Washington. So there's no explanation for that. But there's also a purple sky over Southport, UK. And it's just one image of somebody took in the UK, and they don't have much other than just a still photo. And it almost looks like at the horizon, it's coming from something from the horizon going up. It's very strange. You'd think they could easily explain something like that.
Well, I found some information. The phenomenon of purple-tinged skies appearing after a hurricane. In the case of the most recent hurricane, Michael, colors of diverse and violet and lilac appeared in the sky.
All right, but why would this happen in Middle America where there are no hurricanes?
Well, I'd have to...
In the UK, where I don't think they're prone to hurricanes over there.
Let's see here. The phenomenon is called scattering. Dang. Ads, go away.
Bob agrees, a toilet bowl with a tail or a balloon.
It says, during a sunrise and a sunset, offers a theory behind the purple sky seen, I guess, this week in various places. Mm-hmm. Scattering is the process by which tiny particles and molecules act in changing the direction in which light rays travel. So it's light rays that are going through particles and bending light to give the sky this purple tinge look, or a lilac look, if you will.
Well, you'd think mainstream media would come out and give all that explanation for everybody. I should have mentioned this with disclosure. This is a separate site, separate article. Mm-hmm. Professor predicts human time travel this century. Now, this was dated back in 2006, but it's still the same century. Equations and ideas based on Einstein's relativity theories. Ronald Mallet, or Mallet, the University of Connecticut, has devised an experiment to observe a time-traveling neutron in a circulating light beam. While his team still needs funding for the project, he calculates the possibility of time travel using this method could be verified within a decade. And this has to do with, think about black holes, wormholes, cosmic strings. Each of these phenomena have been proposed as a method for time travel. None have seemed feasible for one major reason. Although theoretically they could distort space-time, they all require an unthinkably gigantic amount of mass. So they're trying to figure out, I guess, how to do it. So, of course, he mentions the grandfather paradox and all that stuff. So if you want to know more about that, I'm just going to link that into chat if you want to. It's a longer article, so.
All right. We'll be right back after this.
listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sulana.
The epic battle begins this Friday. Direct from ringside at Laser Death Melt pit. Bot versus Bot in Galaxy's 2-ton weight championship, where your challenger, Good Bot, will face the reigning champion, Bad Bot.
You're terminated.
Reserve seating starting at $30. 2-drink minimum, where ladies don't get in free. This is an SBU production.
You're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Sulana.
I beg to differ on that.
Buttercream frosting on these cupcakes tastes the same. They're dyed different colors. The taste difference is in the cake part, dark versus, vanilla versus chocolate.
Okay, well, I know that the orange ones didn't taste orangey.
No, it's not supposed to have a flavor, the buttercream frosting. That's whatever buttercream frosting tastes like is what it tastes like across all the cupcakes. They've just been dyed a different color.
Okay.
Because you're visual.
So we're back, and you just down that big old thing in your mouth.
I keep clicking something.
Well, we're back on the air.
I know, but I keep clicking something I don't mean to click. You know how some of these websites have a background that goes over the whole website, but it's also a link. So if you accidentally click the background image of a website, it takes you to another website. And I freaking hate that. And the other thing I understand, in this day and age, you need to make money and revenue off your website. Because if we could be 100% donation-based with Spaceboy Universe, that would be freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I could see that it's not feasible for people to spend their money like that. So I understand you having to put ads on your site to make revenue. I get it. But every site I go on that asks me to turn off my ad blocker, I hate you. Anyway, moving on. Our next topic's gaming. Yay.
Yay.
Now the thing is, Spaceboy and I, or I guess geriatric gamers, we don't have an Xbox. We don't have a current PlayStation.
You probably won't find us on Fortnite.
No, we don't. We aren't like crazy into mobile gaming or anything like that.
It's not like we have Candy Crush on our phones.
We're very laid back, casual gamers. I do things like Scrabble online, and I play against myself because I am the best player. And we just have our Steam game. Steam is a library, and it's on the PC, and that's what we do if we do anything. So we're not an authority on gaming.
I just purchased a Nintendo Classic gaming system. The one out there that has the classic games like Donkey Kong is on it.
It looks like a miniature version of the old school console.
Castlevania is on it. I guess 2 is on it too. But I mean, that should describe. I love playing.
We're old school, Stu. Yeah.
Pac-Man, Galaga, Donkey Kong Jr.
I have Doom 3, which is a game that came out last year, and it's the latest iteration of Doom. I have it installed, ready to go, but I'm too scared to play it. But anyway, gaming. I did look up some gaming news, and I have heard some things because they were so big, it leaked out into, almost mainstream media. So one of the things that has absolutely devastated people who are fans of this one game,
Diablo, is
the people who make Diablo, Blizzard, and they've been around for a while.
Mm-hmm. For a long time.
They had this big announcement that, we've got a big announcement, and the fans thought this means Diablo 4 is coming, they think. Well, they get all the way out there, and they hype all this stuff up for something called Diablo Immortal, and it is a mobile version of Diablo, and the fans were devastated. In fact, the game's trailer, although it racked up more than 1 million views, it got 257,000 dislikes. Threads on the Reddit, the Diablo subreddit, bemoaned it as a reskin of a pre-existing mobile game, calling Blizzard out of touch, equating the announcement with a slap in the face. One attendee was at the BlizzCon panel. He stepped up to the microphone during the Q&A session and said, "Is Diablo Immortal a delayed April Fool's joke?" This is how upset the fans of the game were. They're not happy, the fan base.
And, you're seeing this more and more often across nerdom, if you will. with different properties ranging from movies to games to comic books.
Well, we've got a forum now to show that we're upset, whereas we never did before with the internet and social media.
But what I'm seeing, and as you know, that has gotten me aggravated on certain things, is that you have these companies that are trashing the fans. And
I don't know that they're doing this.
The consumers. I mean, I just don't understand. Yeah, sure, I was a kid at one time, and I, the companies have only themselves to blame, because what they did was they invested all this money when we were kids, and now that we're grown up and we've got money, we've got mortgages, we've got car notes, we do have some disposable income. Some of us do. I
have up to $10 of disposable income.
But the thing is that these companies are not listening to us.
No. Well, the problem with this particular thing here we're talking about is the hype build up for this announcement, and I think they were banking on the fact that people were going to be like, it's going to be Diablo 4, it's going to be Diablo 4, and it wasn't.
Right.
So they had a big audience. So
in other words, Blizzard didn't listen to their consumer.
Well, they hinted they were announcing something Diablo related and clarified it would not be what many of you are hoping for. So they did give a bit of a warning, but still, I think this was like cutting them off the knees. But they would say it wasn't Diablo 4, even if it was going to be Diablo 4, would they? So when they announced the Diablo
that's
Immortal,
what the fans were expecting was Diablo 4, and once again, I keep harping on this thing about not listening to the consumers, but the reality here is, if you could look at this, maybe this game wasn't designed or made for maybe those people. It was designed for the emergence of a Chinese market.
Well, I was going to get to that.
Well, you could still get to that.
I'm still getting, yeah. Well, they don't see this that way at Blizzard. This is their response to what the fans said. The executive producer and co-founder both said that to the response for Diablo Immortal, they said, Immortal is just one of the Diablo games currently in development at Blizzard, and they hope fans will remain patient for future announcements. So that could be like the next version of the main game could be coming. They've said that multiple Diablo teams are working on multiple Diablo projects. Remains true even after releasing Diablo 3 for Nintendo Switch. So that they're just trying to keep a positive spin on it. It says the world is evolving both geographically and demographically. Younger folks now, many of them, mobile is their primary gaming device. So they're trying to grab the whole market.
Remember what I just said before all this? They're trying to invest in the younger generation so they can
Which we learned from PewDiePie's. Yeah. PewDiePie's gotten more informative. He's got some insights that he never had before, he never discussed before. But people are hungry for the sequel to Diablo 3, apparently. I played some version of Diablo way back before it became a thing on a PC. I had a early or bootleg copy from my brother because he worked for a company that tested this stuff. So I've seen it. I'm not a player, but there's some room for improvement out there. They say what they need to do, what Blizzard needs to do with the Diablo 4 is whenever they're ready to reveal it, fans will have a wish list of things they want to see. They want them to remember the roots of the game. They want to sharpen up the combat gameplay. They want to sort out that story behind it. Among many things, they want full customization, and they want a flexibility of play in Diablo 4. And they just don't be greedy with Diablo 4. That's just some of the things that the fans want. So, but it was just a big slap in the face for them.
Well, obviously, I mean, the fans were expecting one thing, and it turned out to be quite something else. It was very cringy to watch that video with the Blizzard, people.
The Q&A and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because it was like, obviously they knew that they had disappointed a big part of their fan base, and
well, they said it's not going to be what you think. It's not going to be what you think. So that was their little out.
Still, it's not the point, Sulana. The point is that
they know they were waiting for something else.
Yes, they were waiting for something else, regardless of whatever Blizzard said. It's not what you're gonna. It's not what you're gonna think. It's not.
Well, one of the things when I was looking at all this stuff, I was going to different sites for gaming news because you and I are not the best authority for the latest greatest because we don't play some of the hottest things. We don't play Fortnite. We don't play Red Dead Redemption. We don't play the latest Call of Duty is out. We just don't, mainly because of time constraints and the fact that we get sick with first-person shooter games. But if you do play it, that's awesome. And if you're an expert, we encourage you sometimes to get in a chat, talk about it, or whatever.
But I can say, from my point of view, is that I'm very pro gamer.
Yeah, that's, if
I
I had the time, and if I didn't have motion sickness so bad.
I think, and I'm not implying anything here, so honest, so just go with it. If we had kids, I would be, right there with them. Especially
if it shut them up for several hours. Yeah. So one of the things I ran across while looking for other stuff is this, just a random person's article that says, I have become a PC gaming snob. Well, basically what this person says is they started out their gaming life on a PC, but then as soon as PS2 came out, PS3, PS4, and Xbox 360, they went all console-based, and they're like, no, nothing exists but console, Well, then he said this year, January, he went and built him a custom PC, and he says now he's having a hard time ever going back to a console. Well, I've only ever had 2 consoles in my life, and that was the Odyssey back in the 80s, and it was when you bought the Wii. Those are the only 2 consoles I've ever experienced. So the PS2, you had that. But so I've not been on the cutting edge of consoles. We don't have the latest of anything with a console like PS4. We don't have it. You've never had an Xbox. You've toyed with the notion of getting used ones, but now I think it's probably best that you didn't, given where Xbox is going. I'll talk about that in a second. This guy says, I didn't realize that the PC is actually more powerful than console. You can put better graphics card with more RAM on it. You can put more memory in a computer. And so the graphics on a game on a PC is just, and the speed, the frame rate, and everything is superior.
Right.
Not having a way to compare these two, I didn't notice that. I've only ever played most of my games I like on a PC, if I ever played them. Usually the games I play are not graphic intensive. They're really casual, like puzzle-based, Scrabble, hidden objects, like very laid back. I think Doom 3 is probably the one game I've bought and downloaded that would rely on speed, graphics, frame rate. If I would just stop being scared to death to play it.
Well, let me interject here real quick. Is that part of the thing that appeals to me about having a console is actually played on the TV versus
at your computer.
Yeah, and at my computer, I have 2 24-inch monitors. And the games that I'm playing are,
Well, we have a TV now that's HD 4K, so if it can take advantage of that.
Yeah, so that appeals to me.
You're being asked a question in chat. Did you ever play a game that was like Virtual Fighter Jet Pilot?
Yes, I have played something similar to that. Sega put one out that I can't think of the name of what it's called, but I do know that Sega had. But even PlayStation had, I think it was called Aces, which is.
I think I'm familiar with that one.
It's an airplane game, like a jet airplane, military. Pretty good gaming. Which, real quick, PS1 Classic just like the Nintendo Classic is going to be coming out, where it's going to be looks like a PS1 but small, and we'll have several games on it that you can play.
I didn't click the guy's article or video, but he said why he canceled his PlayStation Classic pre-order.
Now I'm curious.
I didn't. I don't even know where I saw it. So.
You'll have to follow up on that.
But speaking of the consoles, just as in, off to the side here, PlayStation 4 sales passed 86 million, which beats the lifetime sales of PlayStation 3. So I don't know what the deal is, why it's so hot snot, but I thought that was fairly interesting. The next version of Xbox will not have a DVD CD tray because it's all just going to be internet download based.
And you're getting a lot of that anyway from these consoles now. They've been wanting to do that for some time, to where you download it from a network and get your game and it loads onto the system.
That's how we do it on the PC.
They want that same kind of thing for the console.
Netflix is going to stop supporting 100 million Nintendo Wii consoles next year. And, in the early days when the Wii console came out, it had the ability to stream Netflix because Netflix wasn't, everywhere yet. It was pretty early days. Well, now that it is, it's part of smart TVs and phones, and it's, app you can download, web-based app for your computer.
At the time, it was...
Yeah, it was nice at the time, but now it's just not needed. So they're going to kill supporting the Nintendo Wii, which, I think that makes sense. Can't get mad at them for that. So, and of course, we won't get into all the Black Friday deals for games and consoles that are out there. Oh my goodness, So, curiously, I don't know if any of you know what E3 is. Well, it's a big convention for electronics and gaming. It's not Comic-Con. It's more like Comic-Con for technology.
Exactly.
So, Sony is going to be skipping E3 for the first time ever in 2019.
Did they give a reason?
Well, been announced that Sony Computer Entertainment and the PlayStation brand will not be at the 2019 E3 Expo for the first time in the Expo's 24-year history. They're a no-show. Sony laid out what they were thinking behind this decision. It says, as the industry evolves, Sony Interactive Entertainment continues to look for inventive opportunities to engage the community. PlayStation fans mean the world to us, and we always want to innovate, think differently, and experiment with new ways to delight gamers. As a result, we have decided not to participate in E3 in 2019. We are exploring new and familiar ways to engage our community in 2019 and can't wait to share our plans with you. Very odd, because that's like one of the biggest ways to showcase your cutting edge latest stuff. So one of the big three choosing to miss this expo is huge. And of course, it's setting the rumor mill on fire as to why and what are they doing over at PlayStation. And it points, they're saying this might be their own press conference that they're going to have elsewhere, so that maybe they can have exclusive attention, maybe for some new hardware. But, again, it's all speculation, because it's like, what? People just can't believe Sony is not going to be at E3, and E3 is a big, big deal, if you don't know. So Sony's going to offer a quieter PlayStation Pro. I don't know if it's been too noisy. The actual box, I guess it's been making too much noise.
Too much fan noise, maybe?
Maybe so. I know there's been tons and tons of articles and blogs and vlogs and videos about Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's kind of like an Old West game. And you know who makes it? Same people that make Grand Theft Auto Rockstar games.
Well, it makes sense, considering the world that, it's expansive and very similar in nature of Grand Theft Auto.
Ready Player One Oasis Beta receives Elite Gunter Edition DLC. So apparently Ready Player One is a game. I didn't know. So
interesting.
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting. And I saw the other day Cards Against Humanity. I don't know if you know this, what that is. It is a physical game that you can go to the store, you order, and it's in a box and it has cards, and you get like a question or a scenario, and you pick a card from your pile to fill in the blank or whatever. Well, they have an online version of this that you can play with your friends. And that's been out for a while, and I've seen people play Cards Against Humanity online in videos, on YouTube. Well, the other day, they just started adding images. You can answer the question with an image that you Google and find online. And that took it to a whole other level. I laughed so hard. Some of them they had to pixelate so they don't get demonetized, which is still a bit of a plague. So that's pretty much all I know about gaming, is because I still watch some gamers on YouTube, not as much as I used to, because a lot of the ones I was watching, it died down because there's a trend moving away from Let's Play a little bit. So I just watch like things like them playing Scribblio, which is like online Pictionary and things like that. So I still do watch gaming videos. Like when Markiplier played Doom 3, I watched the whole series because I was interested in Doom. But some people can still make a living off of it, some others can't. So that's pretty much all I have for gaming news.
So, Sulana, why isn't Captain Crunch an admiral by now?
I'm thinking it's got to be something with interserial politics. Maybe, somebody's got some dirt on him, or dirty marshmallows.
All right, so we'll be back after this.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sulana.
Greetings, Space Cadets. Let's see what's in the sky tonight in the Spaceboy Universe. Tonight, in the eastern sky, we have Spaceboy Universe rising above the horizon in glorious splendor. And in the west, we can see Solanas Majoris, which is visible at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, just below the K28 belt. So keep your eyes on the sky and listen to Spaceboy Universe.
I'm Solaris Blurvid, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Sulana.
All right, we're back. And at this point, I'd like to bring in one of our congregational members to lay a witness upon us about cupcakes.
I owe you a buttercream apology.
All right.
The cupcakes that have the dark brown, these are fall colors. There's brown, there's orange, and there's yellow, because that's what they had. So the brown smells like chocolate and tastes like chocolate. So there you go. To answer your question, Catalina, I did not order a Cajun fried turkey. I sent money to my friend Leanne. She and her husband went to the grocery store and bought me a turkey, and he is going to Cajun fry a turkey because he does it during this time of year on the side to earn a little scratch. And I'm probably going to go up there and pick it up, if not Thanksgiving Day, the day after. So at least Spaceboy and I can have a decent turkey, around this time of year. So in a way, I guess you could say I ordered it. They got a good deal. She said it was 42 cents a pound. I don't know how big this turkey is, though.
That is a good deal. 5 pounds?
10? I don't know.
10. Hopefully it's a big 10-pounder.
I would think, to get for 2 people.
Yeah, this is my favorite time of the year.
I love the fact that she and her husband will do this. And then they're such a great family unit. I hijacked her entire family. Her husband, her teenage son, and her mother that lives on the property. I hijacked their family to start a Christmas tradition, and this will be the 3rd year they're doing Cajun Christmas, meaning Cajun foods, catfish, cornbread and hush puppies. And, of course, they eat gumbo and etouffee and all that stuff, so maybe red beans, rice, something like that. But I started that.
Well, this Texan is going to get normal Thanksgiving.
Where are you going to get that?
I'm going to head on over to the family out in Pasadena.
Well, if they ask questions, it's saying I'm making the ultimate sacrifice by getting us a turkey that we want, because no one else does Cajun fried turkey. So we're, But anyway, so we come back to music topic. I actually found some music stuff to talk about. Now, when you go looking for music news, of course, it's about artists. And these are like top 40 charting artists. And these are like, I have never heard of these people because now I've moved into that age bracket where I am no longer relevant to mainstream.
No longer hip.
Yeah. I'm no longer listening to the radio. I'm no longer listening to top 40. I'm just not there.
And you're at that age that when you start singing party rock, you look strange.
Well, anyway, whatever. So I did find 2 people to talk about, and then the rest of it's just about music. So this caught my eye in passing, because I actually know who Lionel Richie is. I did not know this, but apparently in 2012, Lionel Richie took some of his best-known stuff and revamped it as country songs.
Well, that's not surprising because when he originally did, I'm trying to think of the song, there was a song he did that was very popular in the country Billboard.
Well, I didn't know he collaborated with Willie Nelson, Darius Rucker, and Blake Shelton, just to name a few. Darius Rucker was the lead singer of
I Only Want to Be...
Yeah, was it Hootie and the Blowfish?
Hootie and the Blowfish.
God, I hated them. And then he went into country music.
Darius actually sounds good as a country song artist.
He's just... I don't care what genre you stick him in. It's an annoying, a grating noise coming from his mouth. Anyway, so Lionel's going to do it again, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have some new material. And if you're eager to hear more of his country-tinged tracks, he says they keep asking him over and over again to do it. He's getting it from the country radio. They're going to Lionel saying, when are you going to do some more country music? So he said, okay, I'm going to do something for y'all, but it's going to be something surprising. He actually, Lionel helped present Entertainer of the Year honor at the 2018 CMA Awards in Nashville, Tennessee. He's got another country star, Luke Bryan, he might be working with, but I think it's interesting. So now I'm wanting to go back and see if there's a country version of Hello, I want to hear it. I don't know. I'll have to go check it out and do some Googling. So I thought that was pretty funny.
I think it was his song Penny Lover.
Penny Lover.
It was either that or Truly.
Oh, how many weddings did you go to in the 70s or the 80s that sang Truly? How old are you?
He also did Lady.
That could be... Because... What didn't Kenny Rogers do?
Kenny Rogers.
I beat him to it. Well, you all know about this. Speaking about an individual artist. Next year, a movie's coming out about the story of Elton John's life called Rocket Man.
Mm-hmm.
Looks kind of fascinating. I will not go see it, but if it comes available as a cheap rental, I probably will. Because I ain't paying more than $3 for it.
It has the young man from... I
went to look up who it was, and I did not recognize it. It's a British fellow.
Yeah, he played Iggy from with Colin Firth in that movie, The Kingsman.
Okay, I didn't recognize him. His hair looked different in that photo.
Well,
it grew out.
Well, they trimmed it up a little bit to make him look
Eggy.
more.
Okay, well, I don't know how he is as an actor, but he looks like
Elton John.
Elton in the 70s. His look. So. It's going to be about Elton's life from his years as a prodigy at the Royal Academy of Music through his influential and enduring musical partnership with Bernie Taupin. And, when I go and look for music news, I run across the same stuff. It's about artists, the currently charting ones, and I said, I have no connection to these people anymore. Like, I know who Drake is, and I know who Kanye West is, and Nicki Minaj, because, I've heard the music and Lady Gaga. So it's not like I'm so clueless like an old fogey, but I don't sit around listening to Cardi B and all this stuff, like whatever, unless they're in a mashup. Downloaded some mashups today. So I thought, so when I started looking at it, like, why don't I look up things about the concept of music itself? Like, why not talk about the future of music as a whole, as the whole concept? So sure enough, one aspect of music is the concept of the album. I'm not talking about vinyl or an LP, but the concept of releasing an album of songs. I think that's what we're talking about.
About the packaging of a set of songs.
The future looks bleak for the album. Can it be saved? So it says the album is fighting for its life. Sales of the music's most beloved format are in free fall in the U.S. According to figures published by the RIAA, that's the Record Industry Association of America, somebody we hated back in the late 90s because of Napster.
Mm-hmm. So
stateside album sales for the first half of this year, across downloads, CD, and vinyl, plummeted 25.8% when compared with the first half of last year. So if this continues to decline for this rest of this year, I don't guess the numbers are in yet. If this is any indication, the annual U.S. album sales in 2018 will end up at half the size of what they were since 2015. They said, to put it more plain, U.S. consumers will spend around $500 million less on albums this year than they did in 2017. Now, the CD album is, of course, getting the brunt of that, because who is buying a freaking CD in 2018, right? Down 41.5%.
Probably the same people that are buying that cassette/radio that you talked about earlier.
I thought that was weird. That's why I mentioned it. It's not hard to see why.
Actually, it reminded me of the YouTube star that we watch, Tech Moan.
Mm-hmm. Really cool channel. If you've never seen Tech Moan, M-O-A-N as in moan, go check him out. He's cool.
Highly recommended.
the decline of physical album sales of this year, like Drake, Eminem, Cardi B, Travis Scott, Migos, and Kanye West, I know 3 out of 4 maybe, have all released really kind of hotly anticipated LPs. And I think that's funny they call them LPs. Didn't it stand for long play?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they even use that acronym anymore. It has nothing to do with anything. But they've exclusively put them on digital service in their first week. Physical formats came into play only after the record's initial digital sales rush was over, which is weird because digital doesn't go away. Hip-hop's biggest names are turning their back on the CD and on brick-and-mortar stores, retailers. They're going to Spotify and Apple.
They finally realized that it's much easier to get their stuff up there and avoid the middleman.
This is not a shock. This to any of us, I'm sure. This seems like the logical progression, right?
Yes.
Now, you remember Spotify had a big duking out awkwardly with Taylor Swift because she didn't want to put her music over there.
Mm-hmm. That's why she's exclusive on iTunes.
Spotify was accused of cannibalizing the album. In old days, multiple artists sold multiple millions of albums every year. It just doesn't happen anymore. People's listening habits have changed and they're not going back. So I'm guessing what they mean is they don't buy a whole album or download a whole album. They just pick.
No, it's
cherry pick.
It's cherry pick. I mean, why do I want to buy an album?
I never wanted to buy an album. My whole life I never wanted to buy a cassette tape. I just wanted the song wanted. That's when singles came out. I was like, yes.
It was like this, I was like, because back then, it was like, okay, do I really want to pay all this money to buy 2 songs off an album?
Yeah.
And that's...
I mean, unless you could go to somewhere like old CD warehouse where you could sit down at a bar and say, give me that CD, and they would break it open for you and let you listen to the whole dang thing before you walked out with it.
Right. And I liked it at that point because it gave you a chance to buy more eclectic music that you wouldn't hear on mainstream music, and which goes back to what you were saying earlier about I just don't know mainstream music. That's because you're tapped into a music style that's not mainstream.
Probably so.
Like vaporwave, and
it's very esoteric. Although much of vaporwave pulls from mainstream and old from the 80s pop.
And that music reminds me of another music style that rap music popularized. It's called screw music, where the music was slowed down to a certain point, where it was like just slowed down music is what it was. And now
some vaporwave is like that.
Yeah,
not all.
Not all. Some vaporwave has a very
some of it's like too much.
A retro.
Yeah, kind of a 70s new wave elevator. It's everything. It's really interesting. If you want to check it out, hop on Spotify or hop on YouTube. Just type in vaporwave, one word. Has nothing to do with vaping. Anyway, streaming has made a lot of people a lot of money, but as a death knell rings for the album, they say the music industry returns to the pre-Beatles era of track-led consumption. So, does this mean fans are being encouraged to develop a less committed relationship to new artists? The answer to that depends on how we consume music on Spotify, Apple Music, etc. Not all new music is created equal. Like, okay, they say, for example, Drake, this artist called Drake, his album Scorpion is the biggest album in the U.S. market for 2018. In a clear bid to rack up as many streams as possible, Scorpion is a 25-track long album. I guess, more equals, more chances for people to...
More quantity, yeah. In other
according
words,
to numbers
the
they've
bullseye
gotten...
easier to hit.
Yeah. According to the numbers they've gotten and crunched from Spotify monitoring, there's a site that monitors Spotify called Quarb. 63% of global streams from Scorpion on Spotify since the album's release in June have come from just 3 songs. One called God's Plan, In My Feelings, and Nice for What. Those are the 3 song titles. Haven't heard any of them. Don't know. I might check them out just to see what the big deal is. That's the kind of thing I like about Spotify is when you land on it, they'll show you different playlists, like what's hot in Europe, or, here's the top 10 suicidal songs, things like that. So 6 of the songs on that album have claimed 82% of its total streams. The other 19 tracks just get 18%. So, there's clearly, people like these songs and these songs only, right? Mm-hmm. Story behind the biggest album of the first half of the year. Post Malone, that's an artist, and I heard he got his name, Post Malone, the same way Childish Gambino did, as an online mafia name generator, gangster name generator. He has something called Beer Bongs and Bentleys album. Only 3 tracks account for 62% of the worldwide Spotify streams. So it's like, here's an artist, we like their stuff, but we only like these 3 things. I only care about these 3 things. Yeah, I heard the rest, but I didn't care for them. So, but I think it's always been this way. We've been forced to buy something because it was the only way to get it. We have to buy the albums, we have to buy the cassette tape, we have to buy the CD. Then we got the option to burn a CD and rip it apart into MP3s and waves. Then we started customizing our own CDs, Mm-hmm. So streaming's been great for us, for maybe not so for the artists, because they went through all that expense and time and money to make all 12, 25 songs, and we only like 2 or 3 of them, so maybe get less crappy music. I don't know what the answer is there. The industry is propagating some of the dismantling of the album. They keep saying, they keep using the word LP, but I'm going to say album because that's what we're talking about. It's the concept of a packaged list of songs. Mm-hmm. Billboard 200, still the most recognized album chart in the world, has since December 2014 bundled together streams of individual tracks from an album as streaming equivalent albums. So they've had to kind of reconfigure their, the way they track success and chart. It's just really odd.
I think in the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, is the way the record companies are making their money is to bundle it all together.
Saying,
and if it's not,
the death of the album track or the album itself is having a significant commercial impact. Some of the hottest behind the scenes pop songwriters and producers in Marketplace said that, and the people who have what's left of the music industry, people back doing the stuff behind the scenes, saying any real money making from non-hit album tracks are now pretty much over. If you don't have a hit, it doesn't make money. So those other 12 tracks on Drake's album just sitting there not, making you money. So music industry is waking up to this fact, and it's devastating for them. In the UK, the music business is clubbing together to launch a nationwide campaign called National Album Day. I guess they're trying to save it, Mm-hmm. It's a big deal. There are major record labels and independent labels. They're banding together with some retailers to crusade the concept of album buying to the public over radio channels as well, like BBC, Seth is a key partner.
Let me ask you something, Sulana. Is there a particular artist that you can listen to that whole CD completely?
I know there must be. There must be.
I mean, I can give you a list of people that like Pet Shop Boys for me.
Yeah, probably so. But
Erasure, and from A to Z. I mean,
when we were doing CDs, when we were buying them, I had some lesser known artists I enjoyed that.
But I was going to say for myself that there have been times when I've gotten an album.
Let me whip out my Spotify real quick, and I'll tell you
where I've gotten an album and I've not been fully invested in the whole album. There was maybe just like you're saying, 1 or 2 tracks off of an album that I really get into, especially if it's on heavy rotation on the radio.
No, I'm not following any albums on Spotify.
But what I'm saying here is that as I grew to love those songs, and it was like, okay, I've heard this quite a few times. What else does this artist have that's on this album?
But I didn't start doing that. What else does this artist have till I was in my 30s? I didn't start caring about additional music from the same artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I matured. I guess that's just where. But anyway, so I think the concept of the album is dying as far as a way for an artist to make revenue or release. But what's happening in the music industry and technology and trends in the future is different. This is a whole different site. They're saying video didn't kill the radio star, and neither will streaming yet. So we've gone through some major shakeups in media, and not just music, like print media. We've kind of lost the newspaper. We haven't lost books, but they've got a competitor now. Terrestrial radio is now not what it used to be because of streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Things like iHeartMedia, So mobile devices and internet are now key influencers. And so 61% of music buyers is from 17% of consumers. The remainder of those who listen to the radio or use free streaming services like YouTube. So in the next decade, what are we looking at? Streaming is still going to continue to make big, inroads, and it will be mainstream. I can't believe it's not mainstream streaming,
I can't believe it's not butter.
Vinyl records and now CDs are going to become collectible relics. Maybe even cassettes. They don't mention them. Now, this is where we're going to be talking about AI again. AI is going to get all up in your business. Music personalization, machine learning algorithms will become as powerful as humans. Now, what do we mean by that? Music streaming and cloud-based services are going to get more personalized for us to bring us music that will best match our tastes and what we like based on what we've already played. Now, Spotify does that a little bit. It's not as invasive. Machine learning is artificial neural networks. Technology improves, so music AI personalization is going to be something someday backed by big data sources, and it will come in real-time cloud-based data feeds. Social media sites and virtual reality will become music distribution channels rather than just a way to advertise it. That will be interesting. Sales of VR headsets should make early adopters to get some VR content. VR will emerge as another music distribution channel. And I can get into that a little bit more. The concept of the concert, the live concert, they're saying they can take VR and put you at a live concert with technology that's coming. And of course, all these guys being holographic, that's the new trend of not being the artist is long gone, yet they can still have a concert, So that's another way that things are going with music. And last thing I want to tell you about music is, I'm sure this comes as no surprise to you as a musician. Music improves your brain. Study finds musicians are better at solving problems and making decisions. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, you're good at problem solving and also creating them. So equally good at creating them.
Thanks.
So science has shown us that music can heal, slow down the aging process. That's why you're not aging. Music vampire. But they're finding out with new research, music can make you smarter. University of Granada observed neurological changes that occur due to prolonged musical training. It's the first of its kind in this kind of study. Showed music helps people solve problems better. Now, does that mean you listen while you're trying to figure out the solution, or it's like over time listening to so much music makes your brain work in a certain way. Musicians enjoy a higher neural connectivity than non-musicians, so I'm screwed. Therefore, they have an easier time with mental activities. They did this talks about the study, what they did. They had students had formal music training for 10 years and learned to play an instrument. There's 142 of these people. These participants underwent magnetic resonance imaging and took tests for hearing, behavior, and psychology. And it was determined that they were left or right-handed, and the results showed musicians have a higher neural connectivity than the non-musicians in the default mode network. The brain system, which leads to more complex cognitive processes like making crucial decisions or figuring out daily problems. So, explains higher cognitive process consists of the brain's most complex tasks, which need not just one, but multiple brain interactions. So, if you want your kid to be smart, start music training early. Even if they cry and they say, I hate you, make them do it. Because that's what I did. I cried and didn't want to go, so they didn't push it. Because I wasn't the person then that I am now. But music lets a child's body and mind work together, and children learn not just the sounds, but the meanings of words, and dancing to a rhythm of music also develops motor skills and lets children express themselves in nonverbal ways, as long as they're not listening to secular Christmas music. I will put that in there. And it shows a breakdown of what impact music has on infants, toddlers, preschoolers, school-age children, and teenagers. So whether you're 16 or 60, you'll never go wrong with music. It's food for the soul and good for your brain. And you know what's good for your brain when you're talking about music? Free music. Free music that you can get from spaceboymusic.com right now, any time of day or night. Download them, put it on a thumb drive, give it to Grandma for Christmas, and tell her Spaceboy loves her so much.
In fact, I just uploaded another thing up there on the website. It's kind of a long mix, if you like long mixes. It was taken from the SBM show, I guess last year, and so it's out there for you to download and to use to your pleasure.
To comments and chat, I never listen to music except Spaceboy music. And Catalina, I've been listening to SB music for the last 2 days in the car. It makes me drive better.
Who would have thunk it? All right, on that magical note,
does it make Spaceboy drive better?
No, it makes me drive like a maniac. Anyway, so here's some music.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sulana.
Get your game on Spaceboy Universe. Level up with Spaceboy Universe. No quarters, no problems. Play it at Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Sulana.
Welcome back, Space Cadets.
Well, we've got two things left to cover, pop culture and technology, so I'm going to have to cram them together. So I'll just take the first thing a little bit abbreviated, but unfortunately Stan Lee passed away on November 12th, and leaving behind an unbelievable legacy. He was a comic book creator, and he co-launched the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and the X-Men, all from Marvel Comics. Now, what I found out about him, he was born in 1922 in New York City. He was born Stanley Martin Lieber, and he then later shortened his name to Lee as a writer. And he started working as an assistant at Timely Comics in 1939. And then he worked his way up in the 40s. He actually served in the Army during World War II, where he worked as a writer and an illustrator. Cool. He co-created the Fantastic Four in the early 60s. And following that, the Hulk, Spider-Man, that joined Marvel's lineup, Daredevil, and the X-Men. He was known for his dynamism and with copy, and for imbuing his characters with a sense of humanity, tackling real-world issues like bigotry, drug use, which, influenced comics for decades. When it became a popular franchise, Marvel Comics, Stan was promoted to editorial director and publisher in 1972, the year I was born. When he moved to the West Coast and got involved in Marvel's film ventures, he became the chairman emeritus. So he left behind a huge legacy and lots of enjoying funny cameos in Marvel movies that I enjoyed. So speaking of Marvel, why did Nick Fury wait so long to call Captain Marvel at the end of Infinity Wars? I didn't know that he did wait so long. I didn't know what they're talking about. So this is the post-credit scenes in Avengers Infinity War.
Spoilers.
Where we see Nick Fury send out a cosmic mayday for Captain Marvel's help. But why had he not used it before? Well, geez, he wasn't clairvoyant to my knowledge. So he met Captain Marvel in 95, as we're going to find out when her movie comes out, when he's just a junior S.H.I.E.L.D. operative, and their adventure's over. Carol will head off into space, or maybe even the quantum realm. Maybe she'll hook up with Scott. And that'll leave Fury with a modified pager to summon her if he ever needs her help. But why do he wait so long to use a pager? And why didn't he choose to send for Captain Marvel's help during the Chitauri invasion during the first Avengers movie? Or when Ultron was getting out,
It'll all hopefully pay off in the next movie as to her whereabouts.
So, what... I don't understand why they're even asking this question. He didn't know this crap was going to happen, did he? I mean, like, he saw people started disappearing and dissolving, so he called her at just the right time, right?
One would imagine he did.
I guess they're saying is, why did he wait till this particular incident to call her when they've had so many incidences where they could have used her? I don't know. Moving on, Bryan Cranston wants Jesse to be happy in a movie.
Jesse.
So, Breaking Bad star Bryan Cranston, who played Walter White. So, we've learned that there is a Breaking Bad movie in the works, but it's going to take place pre-Breaking Bad. But we don't know if it's pre-Better Call Saul.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say.
But Cranston hopes the film will give Walter White's protege, Jesse, a chance to find happiness before it all goes to heck. If it does happen, this movie, the story will revolve around Pinkman, whose fate is left undetermined in the series' gripping finale. He got away. The guy who was slated to be killed off in the first season by the creators survived all the way to the end of the series. Who don't get? So Cranston, who played Walter White, was like, I just want him to be happy. That's so sweet, you know. It's like, I would like to see, and again, I have no idea if this is what Vince is thinking. I would like to see Jesse struggle to break that mold and eventually break out and find his own real true calling, something that empowered him as a human being, that is on the straight and narrow, that allows him to be able to open up, to let another human being into his life and be happy, because I don't sense that he was ever really happy as Jesse the character. Now, the guy who plays Jesse Pinkman loved playing Jesse Pinkman.
Aaron
Paul. He says he misses Jesse. He misses being him. So this might give him a chance to, you know, revise that role, and that will be very interesting to see. Did he have a good life before he started selling meth, or was it all just a series of terrible things? You know, we'll find out, or not. Now, in non-TV movie related news, we'll put this under things that Spaceboy cares about. McDonald's makes another change to Happy Meals, and it's not great. Ongoing effort to make them healthier and more appealing to parents, because Lord knows when you're thinking about healthy alternatives for food, McDonald's is your go-to. People do not go to McDonald's for healthy alternatives. You go there for the French fries and the nuggets that are made from God knows what, because they're freaking delicious. So they're going to be offering reformulated Yoplait Go-Gurt low-fat strawberry yogurt as part of the Happy Meals.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll have no artificial preservative, no artificial colors, no artificial flavors, which means it probably won't taste like anything. 25% less sugar. Yeah, that's definitely nothing. Coca-Cola's Dasani bottled water will also be an option as a beverage, and it will be prominently displayed on the menu board so you won't miss it. Part of new measures renewing its global Happy Meals goal and the partnership with the Alliance for a Healthier Generation. I don't eat Happy Meals. I don't have kids, but even I want to lift a single finger up at McDonald's.
When we recently went to McDonald's, I did buy a Happy Meal, and inside it had apples. It was actually pretty decent.
Well, anyway, that's the last of the pop culture, and I'm going to hurdle us into technology.
Before I say anything about pop culture?
Oh, you got anything to say?
Hurry.
No,
it's usually complaining about the Lucas films and...
Oh, can we not do that just for tonight? I know it's your birthday, but can I mean... Just, I don't know. Can we not do that tonight, please?
Or anything about...
Because I haven't even talked about technology.
Comic book culture and...
Do you have anything succinct to talk about? And
Bill Maher.
I wasn't going to bring that up. That's inflammatory.
And then I wanted to bring up Jim Acosta and his disruption of the press conference at the White House. I know that's...
Okay. Yeah. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess...
Can you hang on to it? Let me just breeze through this and we'll come back around, because I do have a miscellaneous section if we make it. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki warns users about the EU meme ban. Now, we've talked about the European Union and their Article 13, which is a directive about trying to keep copyright protected. But us, it seems more like censorship.
It is censorship.
They had another thing called Article 11, which is described as a link tax, requiring internet platforms to obtain a license before linking to news stories. Mm-hmm. Well, now YouTube's putting a spotlight on Article 13, which is now being referred to as by us regular folk, a meme ban. So if you've got something out there that you've created and it's kind of like a meme, you're not trying to rip somebody off, you're not trying to make money from it. If it gets dinged by copyright strike, what YouTube is going to do is just block it in this whatever country is in violation. They're not going to bother to review it, police it, demonetize it. They said it's too big.
It is too big.
It's going to take too much time, too much human power to throw at it. And it's like, well, rather than try to get all this copyright sorted out in these different countries, we're just going to block. So, and again, once again, PewDiePie talks about this. He went from just this screaming gamer to this guy that's got known for cussing. Now he's like really insightful and smart. It's really interesting. Been watching him, but memes, parodies, or educational videos, or any sort of remixes, all kinds of contents that make up the YouTube community that would currently pass as fair use could be in danger. This would have sprawling effects on the internet as a whole. Meaning, if we do something and we put it up, those countries may not see it. I don't know that we would get dinged for it or have it taken down. It just wouldn't be available in certain countries.
Mm-hmm.
So the CEO of YouTube, because I can't pronounce her last name, I'm sorry, she said Article 13, as it is written, threatens to shut down the ability of millions of people, from creators to everyday users, from up to content platforms like YouTube. She said the economic impact of legislation, stating hundreds of thousands of jobs are threatened by Article 13, and this legislation poses a threat to both your livelihood and your ability to share your voice with the world. Again, see, censorship, not copyright protection. But the European Parliament's all over it. They're like, yay, you know. So what we would have to do is tell the world through social media and your YouTube channel, if you've got one, why creator economy is important and how this legislation will impact you. So it's up to us to tell them to stop this nonsense, you know. One good move YouTube is doing is, you know, she's saying this is bad, it's impactful, we need to stop it, which is something strangely positive from YouTube, which has been fraught with problems and scandals on the level of Facebook. So now they're saying YouTube is spending millions on how-to videos so you will trust it again. Well, they're talking about is after the adpocalypse fallout on YouTube, content creators and even people who go there to watch, there is sort of a bad feeling all around with YouTube and how they handled all that. So they're going to provide a chunk of funding for educational content, but are they doing it as a way to deflect criticism from their platform? They're going to spend $20 million on educational content and a substantial sum that'll see money given to independent creators, along with some handful of sites and online learning firms. High quality learning content. I wonder if we'll have to pay for it. New fund for YouTubers, as well as a dedicated channel called Learning. Give people a taste of what to expect. They revealed this in a TED Talk thing. Education. That's what they're touting. You know, it's going to be everything from canoeing to sex ed to a library with hit subscribed. They're going to churn out a bunch of content for children while trying to stop the spread of conspiracy theories and misinformation. I don't know. The whole thing. YouTube's like YouTube and Facebook are kind of like necessary evils. You can't cut them out of your life, especially YouTube, because huge part of just sheer entertainment comes from that. And I have gone there a lot for free instructional videos from just everyday people who are making tutorials, and that's been invaluable because not everybody can afford a lynda.com subscription, you know. So,
well, Dino in chat pointed out he uses YouTube to replace his radiator.
Home repair, DIY stuff on YouTube. Stuff we've looked up for our Honda on how to repair or find the right part or install, you know, the luggage racks. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I'd love having that at our fingertips where we don't have to jump through hoops to find things like that. It's been great.
I used it recently because I was having some startup issues with the Transit, And so it showed me to break out the voltage meter and how to see if it's the battery or if it's the alternator and what to look for. And I found it very useful.
Did you actually get a solution?
Yeah.
You figured it out?
Yeah, it's the battery.
Okay. You've been having some battery issues, I've noticed. Now, earlier in this program, you heard me bitch about ad blockers and how I understand why your website needs to have ads to generate revenue so you can keep paying your hosting and you can keep paying for your domain name and various other maintenance costs. I do know what these things cost. And then, of course, there's your internet connection cost. And it all adds up. I do understand that. But my gosh, do I hate your guts. So I just happened to stumble upon this looking for technology news. Easy one-click solution to bypass ad block detection. The easiest way you can turn that off on a website is by disabling JavaScript on the site. Site info option on the browser, whatever browser you're in, you've got to get in there and tell it to disable the JavaScript. Because they're using JavaScript to detect ad blocking plugins. This will bypass the ad blocker for a particular website, but also cause other JavaScripts to be disabled. Depending on what website you're visiting and what they're using the JavaScript for, it could disable some other things, but some important elements will require JavaScript, and they might be missing from a page, and if you see big blank spot, you might not know what content is there. Well, if there's more than one website you wish to bypass, then installing an anti-ad blocker killer makes more sense. UserScript helps you keep your ad blocker active when you visit a website, even when it asks you to disable it. So I might look into this. You'll have to install Grease Monkey on Firefox or Tamper Monkey for Opera or Chrome. Once these add-ons are installed, you'll have to subscribe to filter list for specific ad blockers you are using on there. So not only are you going to have to block ads, you're going to have to block websites from looking at the fact you have an ad blocker. So it's like you find a solution, they find a way around it. You find a solution for their way around it, they'll come back with something else. So,
well, isn't that solution there, the Java solution, the solution for you right now?
If it doesn't affect other things on the page they're running, because JavaScript runs a ton of things on page you don't even know about, because I've dealt with it. jQuery is another way to do stuff. So if your website still works, if you disable it, it's fine. Another thing I thought was odd is why IBM buying Red Hat won't be the last big open source sale. I'm like, IBM is buying Red Hat, which is a Linux product, and it's an open source product. What is IBM going to do with Red Hat? That's what I want to know. Red Hat's an open source, free software, but it seems to be worth a lot of money. It's an enterprise Linux operating system. But
maybe they might be packaging their servers with Linux.
Well, Linux is optimal
for
being a server operating system, and I think that's what the majority of them are used for. Linux-based OSs are also the OS of choice if you're going to get on the deep web, because there's less things that will target it, I suppose. It's less ways in. So I'm curious why they would buy it. What are they going to do with it? And are they going to try to make it where you've got to buy it? I mean, I don't know. It just kind of worries me when a big corporation buys something that's open source like that. I just, I don't know. But anyway, so the last thing I'll talk about is, this is sort of, I don't know if this is miscellaneous, but boy, Tide likes to dance with danger. You know, the Tide detergent?
Yeah.
Remember the whole Tide Pods thing? They were so pretty, everybody wanted to eat them. I shouldn't laugh. Well, now they've got a new package for their liquid Tide. It's an eco-friendly box, and it's like cardboard and minimal plastic, and it looks like boxed wine. You know, the wine that comes in the cardboard box with the spigot?
Right.
It's an orange box. It has a spigot. And, like, they are just asking for trouble, aren't they? And that's all I wanted to tell you.
Well, what do we have coming up on the next adventures of Spaceboy?
Why do you even ask me that when we don't even talk about it?
Well, it's not that I'm not willing to talk about it.
I don't know, because we haven't talked about it. The only thing you've asked me about is, what are we going to buy for groceries this week?
Well, that's another topic that we talk about.
But not on Spaceboy Universe.
No. Let's see here.
Now I have these bad feelings. And I hope to God you don't want to actually go to the grocery store, because here it is. We're sliding into Thanksgiving week, and there's just going to be just...
I really don't think we're going to be able to do curbside. Yeah? Yeah. I think you're going to get a rude awakening from about curbside.
I guess so, but I can't deal with the people. And then you can't go in there. You won't last. Anyway. Probably. We'll be back next week as usual. Something will happen. We'll talk about something. You just sparked an idea. I don't want to say it, but you just sparked an idea. Let me write that down.
Okay. Now you got me curious. I guess I'm going to have to wait. I can't talk about it right now. I guess we'll have to wait until...
I don't know if it's a full-blown 3-hour topic, though.
I'll be the judge of that.
I just told you SBU will be on next Saturday. What are we going to talk about? I don't know. Maybe...
Are you getting mad at our Space Cadets?
It's just that I just don't have time to plan right now. Mm-hmm. There's just no time to plan anything with all the stuff that's going on. So we'll be here. Maybe I'll start taking my Lexapro again by then, and I'll be more calm. I'm just so on edge and just feeling like I need to punch the world in the face. I should have taken the night off, but you won't allow that. You won't do the show on your own.
All right. On that magical note, let us roll the credits. Join us next week when we'll have an exciting topic from the universe, and hopefully Sulana will not have any knives on it.
Spaceboy Universe is hosted by Spaceboy and Sulana. Executive producer is Sulana. Associate producer is Leanne Cordes. Music production is Spaceboy of SpaceboyMusic.com. Special thanks goes out to Leanne K, K28, Dino, Solars Blue Raven, Patrick Sporer, Bob and Beverly N. This has been a Spaceboy Universe production. Support the universe by exploring Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Sulana. Sweet dreams, Space Cadets.
Hi, I'm Spaceboy.
And I'm Sulana.
And you're listening to Spaceboy Universe
on the Paranormal UK Radio Network.